2007 is so close to that 2006 season in which Schumacher and Alonso fought to the end, yet so far away due to the lack of continuity between one year and the other. The technical regulations remain almost similar, but it changes a lot. Firstly, tyre manufacturer Michelin leaves. Every team has to switch to Bridgestone tyres, and this is very significant because hardly anyone was fitting them. The defending champions are Renault. However, they lose a key driver in the form of Fernando Alonso, and they will go all out with Fisichella and Kovalainen. However, they won't go far given a strong technical step back and poor adaptation to Bridgestone tyres. Alonso moves to McLaren, sided by the rookie Lewis Hamilton, while Ferrari relies on Raikkonen to replace Michael Schumacher after his retirement. Basically, there's a lot of uncertainty. Renault lost the top driver, who joined McLaren, yet the Woking team are back from a difficult season where they haven't won a single race for the first time since 1996. It could be said that Ferrari are the favourites, but will Raikkonen and Massa, who completed 2006 in the growing way, really make up for the lack of Schumacher? Well, we get off, and immediately Australia's a surprise. Massa has a problem in Q2 and has to start from last, but Raikkonen picks up the pieces from Ferrari and takes pole on Saturday. Perhaps the most surprising fact is that in 3rd and 5th position there's a team that emerged out of nothing, the BMW Sauber, that will often try to get into the front fight during the year. Raikkonen dominates. He immediately wins and gets the reputation of favourite for the title, finishing in front of Alonso and the rookie Hamilton, who precede Heidfeld, Fisichella and Massa. In Malaysia, however, the Brazilian takes pole, with the other Ferrari sandwiching Hamilton and Alonso. At the start, the Silver Arrows shoot to the front, relegating Massa and Raikkonen as chasers. While Alonso flies to victory, Massa tries to overtake Hamilton and spins, giving way to their rivals and finishing 5th, even behind Heidfeld's BMW. Alonso commands the championship, but in Bahrain the cards are reshuffled. Massa takes pole position, and this time he makes no mistake. Hamilton continues to shine by getting the 3rd consecutive podium in front of Raikkonen, who is overshadowed by his teammate. Again, Heidfeld precedes one of the title contenders, Alonso himself, who struggles to finish 5th in Bahrain. For the first time since 1950, 3 drivers lead the World Championship at the same time. Raikkonen, Alonso and rookie Hamilton all have 22 points, ahead of Massa with 17 and Nick Heidfeld with 15. The driver of the moment is Massa, who gets the 3rd consecutive pole position in Spain. Alonso starts better, but at turn 1 he tries a risky maneuver on the outside and ends up in the gravel, rejoining 4th. Raikkonen's retirement moves him back to 3rd place, but after 4 races Massa is the only driver to have won twice. However, the leader of the World Championship is a rookie, for the first time ever. Thanks to 2nd place, in fact, Hamilton shoots up to 30 points, Alonso follows at 28, Massa 27 and Raikkonen remains behind with 22. For the Finn, it is a bad moment. After victory in Australia, he struggled compared to Massa and made a serious mistake in qualifying in Monaco. He hit the wall and started 16th, a serious fault on a track like that. For him, there's only just one bitter point at the end. The fight for victory instead is entirely a McLaren affair. Alonso and Hamilton go all out in qualifying, but the Spaniard comes out on top and wins the race, lapping everyone except his teammate and Massa. There is controversy. Rumours are circulating that Ron Dennis gave a team order, which was strictly forbidden at the time. Bernie Ecclestone threatens to exclude McLaren from the championship, something which will eventually happen later on, but for different reasons. Alonso and Hamilton are tied at 38 points, and the situation is astonishing. The 2-time champion in office is matched by the rookie, who, despite not having won yet, has always stood on the podium. Canada then is already a decisive race. It can establish hierarchies within the team. It can put pressure on your opponent. McLaren, after Ferrari's 4 consecutive poles, are in a state of grace, and the duel is all internal. Surprisingly, however, Alonso does not come out on top. Indeed, against all odds, Hamilton is the one with strong nerves. For the first time, the Englishman takes pole, and then gets the most out of a risky pass by Alonso, who cuts the corner and leaves way, to win. Hamilton's is a significant win, managing to stay calm in a tremendously chaotic race. Robert Kubica suffers a heavy accident, which fortunately does not affect him too much. Massa commits a very serious error and exits the pit lane with the red light, being disqualified alongside Fisichella. There are other accidents and numerous safety cars, which see Heidfeld and the surprising Wirtz with Williams on the podium. Raikkonen is only 5th and Alonso 7th. Hamilton then leads the championship with 48 points, Alonso follows at 40, Massa 33, Raikkonen 32, Heidfeld 26. There seems to be no response from Ferrari. In Indianapolis, there is another McLaren 1-2, and yet another showdown by Hamilton, who not only gets the 7th consecutive podium, but still wins by resisting to Alonso's attacks. Massa is 3rd on Raikkonen. What's happening to the Finn? He's now 21 points away, practically the amount of 2 victories. He was signed to be the leader of the team, but finds himself suffering Massa. Kimi is not at one with Ferrari. But at a certain point, something clicks. One click, an almost magical, technical and mental step. Ferrari respond to McLaren dominance by introducing upgrades. Massa is thus on pole in France, over Hamilton and Raikkonen, while Alonso is unlucky with a problem in qualifying, which also forces him to start with an excessive amount of fuel. But none of them in the front row will win. The flying Finn is Kimi Raikkonen, who overtakes his rivals and finally returns to victory. But little changes in the standings. Indeed, Hamilton now has a 14-point lead over his direct rival. It's mid-season, and Hamilton takes pole at home, even if due to a low amount of fuel, which in fact will make him drop to 3rd place after the stops. The twist is that there is a problem for Massa, who limits to 5th place, in between the BMWs. The competition is open. Alonso takes the lead, but has to give in to Raikkonen, who wins again. It's amazing that Kimi is the one who won the most races, but who still suffers from a heavy gap in the standings. Hamilton, with his impressive regularity that made him always finish on the podium, keeps a good margin. Raikkonen is in great shape. He takes pole at the Nürburgring ahead of Alonso and Massa, while Hamilton has an accident and starts 10th. It is a not race, because within a few seconds of the start, the sky darkens and a tremendous storm arrives. The only one to have the right intuition is Piker driver Marcus Winkelhock, a rookie who finds himself in the lead when everyone else stops. This was twist number 1. There is twist number 2. Raikkonen, the leader of the race, slips at the pit entry and is forced to take another lap in the rain, giving way to Massa and Alonso. Twist number 3. As if it were the plot of a movie, 7 cars, one behind the other, have aquaplaning at turn 1, and all end up off the track in the same way. Red flag. Winkelhock is in the lead, with the Spiker, the slowest car, on his only F1 appearance, over Massa and Alonso. The race restarts. Alonso has a go, but Winkelhock is in the way. Raikkonen, who had climbed up to 3rd place, retires due to a mechanical problem. Hamilton has a difficult race, being one of many to run out in the first laps. For Alonso and Massa, it is a very good opportunity. Massa leads, but in the last laps it starts raining again. The Spaniard, with a hard overtake in which the two touch each other, wins the race. There is still big controversy due to the dynamics of the overtaking, but the victory is valid, and Alonso gets a big chunk of points, now returning to -2, while Massa is to -11. At McLaren, there's further controversy. With an already delicate situation, given the speculations say that some Ferrari workers have passed secret files of the car, Hamilton does not respect team orders, keeping Alonso behind on the track in qualifying. So, during the course of the session, Fernando pays him back by holding him up in the pits. Neither of them manages to complete the lap, but they keep the front row. Raikkonen is third, and Massa is forced to start from the back due to a strategic mistake. The marshals, however, have seen enough. Alonso is relegated to 6th. On a track like Hungary, it is a strong limitation. Hamilton wins, with the 10th podium in 11 races, over Raikkonen, Heidfeld and Alonso. There are only 6 races left. Hamilton leads with 80 points, Alonso follows at 73, Raikkonen is 60 and Massa 59. Practically, the Ferraris are 2 victories behind still. But as it often happens, the cars reshuffle. Massa, who hadn't won in 7 races despite 4 podiums, takes pole and victory in Turkey. This time, bad luck hits Hamilton, who punctures a tyre and is only 5th, behind Raikkonen, Alonso and Heidfeld. 12 races, total balance, 3 wins apiece, but in the standings the situation is clear. Lewis has 15 points over Felipe and 16 over Kimi, a margin of absolute safety. In Monza, the Silver Arrows increase the gap again. The focus is diverting more and more on the spy story, which is accusing McLaren of espionage and disclosure of industrial secrets. It is Alonso who takes pole and responds to difficulties. For Massa, the dreams of glory end when a retirement drops him to -23. There's yet another McLaren 1-2. Only 4 races left. Lewis has 3 points on Alonso, but 18 over Raikkonen. There are legal proceedings disturbing the peace in Woking. Let's wait to open up this bracket and let's focus first on the struggle between Hamilton and Alonso. There is strong discomfort. The two don't talk to each other. There is hatred in the air. To make matters worse, there is the spy story. McLaren receive a $100 million fine and are disqualified from the Constructors' Championship. Alonso and Hamilton are not convicted. It all seems to head for a McLaren fight in the title. For them, it would be enough to always finish on the podium regardless of the result to rule out of contention the Ferrari drivers. The difference between first and second, after all, is only 2 points. At Spa, Ferrari is very fast. Raikkonen dominates the entire weekend and wins the race, ahead of Massa. The struggles within the McLaren team, on the other hand, come out. Instead of attacking the Ferraris, Alonso and Hamilton fight each other at the start. Hamilton goes off the track in turn 1, looking for an overtake. Then, the two go side by side at Eau Rouge and almost put each other out. Alonso, who finishes ahead of Hamilton for the 5th time in the last 6 races, reduces the gap to -1. Raikkonen is at -13, but with 3 races left, it seems too late. At Fuji, against the trend, Hamilton gets pole for 80 thousandths over Alonso, under the water, and is determined to prove he can win the title on his rookie season. The conditions are terrible. Ferrari ignored the FIA's directives to fit full wets and are forced to change them during the race, making Raikkonen drop to 15th and Massa to 17th. Moreover, Felipe is penalized with a drive-through for overtaking Heidfeld to gain the position back after a spin under the safety car. After 19 laps, the race begins. Vettel's Toro Rosso climbs to 3rd place when Button hits Heidfeld. Alonso loses the chance to overtake Hamilton, ending off the track and being hit by Vettel. And surprisingly, he is the first one to crumble. An incredible mistake sees him crash out of the race. For Hamilton, the opportunity is massive. Raikkonen is recovering, but this doesn't bother him. With a win, he will fly 11 points in front of Alonso. The only ones who can worry him now are Webber and Vettel. But they too are out of the race when Vettel takes out his rival under the safety car. Victory brings Hamilton to +18 on Alonso and 17 on Raikkonen, who is 3rd. If he finishes in front of the 2 opponents in the penultimate race, he is world champion. He is close to a sensational result, and his pole position in China puts him in an enviable position. Alonso is only 4th, now his only rival. Raikkonen at -17 must win both races, hope that Hamilton will never do better than 6th place, and this year he has always done so, except once. Basically, if F1 were mathematical, there's a 93% chance that Kimi will be out of the World Championship with a race to go. If you then consider that Kimi has to win both races, practically the hope of going to Brazil with this limit of chances is 1.82%, let alone repeating the same feat there and winning it for real, considering there's also Alonso in the mix. Conditions are variable. It rains, but definitely less than at Fuji. When the track dries up, Hamilton struggles with old tyres. Raikkonen overtakes. Another stop at this point of the race would be too penalising, given that there is a short time left to switch to dry tyres. But Hamilton is starting to be overtaken by the lapped cars, so the team call him to the pits. What follows is incredible. The entrance to the Chinese pit lane involves a corner, which Hamilton completely misses. He goes wide and is bogged down in the gravel. Retirement. Raikkonen wins over Alonso, but the World Championship is still in the firm hands of Hamilton, who leads at 107. Alonso follows at 103, Kimi at 100. If Hamilton finishes on the podium, he's champion. Well, he got there 12 times in 16 races. It's completely possible with a normal race. Alonso has limited chances. If nothing, he still has some hope. Raikkonen, on the other hand, seems to only have his name there in the title fight. He must win, hope that Hamilton does not do better than 5th, and Alonso better than 3rd. For the first time since 1986, 3 drivers compete for the World Championship. All that Hamilton needs is a regular race. If Alonso doesn't win, even 5th place is enough for him. He can basically put someone between his direct rivals and himself, and still pole goes to the driver that is not on the spotlight, Felipe Massa. Crucially, Hamilton is 2nd on Kimi and Fernando. There is a lot of tension. The FIA even hires a marshal to make sure that McLaren does not make favours to any of the 2 drivers. Hamilton is already in the eye of the storm following impeding to Raikkonen in qualifying, and he starts badly. Kimi follows Massa while the McLarens go side by side. Hamilton, without thinking, brakes as late as possible to keep the position on his teammate, goes wide and rejoins in 10th. The race is very long. Despite being in an unfavourable position, Hamilton has plenty of time to recover. Surprisingly, however, the first technical problem of the season in the race leaves him at steady pace. He loses seconds on seconds and drops to 18th. Everything goes in the hands of Alonso, because Raikkonen is still behind Massa. At Ferrari, of course, they have everything under control. At the stop, Raikkonen extends the stint and overtakes Massa. Alonso can do nothing. He's tenths of seconds away. The miracle is about to take place. Kimi can win the World Championship unless Hamilton somehow recovers up to 5th place. The numerous retirements give him a helping hand. Everything is under control at Ferrari, but the situation behind does not leave them calm. Heidfeld, Rosberg and Kubica are fighting furiously for 4th place. Rosberg attempts a reckless attack and sends his compatriot to the grass, but both crucially continue on. It almost seems that Rosberg is playing Hamilton's game when he again risks by hitting Kubica. But the laps end. Kimi wins the race. Miracle. One of the craziest comebacks in history is completed. Or maybe not. Why are the official results not coming out? What is happening? The rumor is circulating. BMW and Williams are suspecting of having irregular fuel. As it happens, Kubica, Heidfeld and Rosberg drive those cars. The season has such a Hollywood finale that even after the checkered flag, no one can be certain. In the end, however, the first verdict finally arrives, and this delivers the title to Kimi Raikkonen. It fell from the hands of Hamilton, who as a rookie would have made history. A year which at times made you think it had an obvious ending, but which instead managed to keep people attached to the screen until the very end. 3 drivers within 1 point. Raikkonen 110, Hamilton and Alonso 109, without forgetting Massa at 94. The final part, in which Kimi reached the podium 9 times out of 10, except for the retirement at the Nürburgring, made the difference. Hamilton, after 10 podiums in the first 11 races, only got 2 in the last 6. It's also worth mentioning the extraordinary season of Nick Heidfeld. A comeback is completed in what is still today the lowest margin among the first 3 people in the standings. A crazy ending after it looked like there might be an obvious and internal challenge between the McLaren drivers. Perhaps one of the craziest plot twists in F1 history, and this is how Kimi Raikkonen won the 2007 World Championship.